The Graphic Histories Podcast.
I got bitten by a radioactive bug. I tried an experimental drug. Went up for a stroll on a gamma testing range. I found an enchanted hurricane. I made a serum that made me small. I modified the serum so it would make me tall. Radioactive isotope in my eyes. Dying alien helped me accessorize. I gained the proportion and strength of a spider. Now I'm invincible and I can fly. I lost my sight, my other senses were heightened. I'm gonna put on my pajamas and go fight crime.
Hey there, and welcome to the Graphic Histories Podcast. My name is Andre Mayette, your podcast host. Big thanks to Uka the Mock for our theme song, Superpowers. And big thanks to you, gentle listener, for tuning in once again to another action-packed show. Today I talk with Robert Roach, who is a very cool comic book creator. We jokingly talk about how I say in when I do interviews like this, some come easy, some come a little harder. The fun ones are always the easiest, and this was definitely one of the fun ones and one of the easiest. So big thanks to Rob for being on the show, and thanks to you for tuning in. And I think we're back on track with some pretty regular episodes coming. I'm going to try to stick to the weekly schedule rather. At one point I had gone to a bi-weekly schedule, but then I went back to weekly, and I feel like weekly's fine as long as you guys understand. If I miss one here and there, it's not the end of the world. As a busy person who doesn't make his bones doing podcasts, which I would love to, but not there yet. I gotta get out there. I gotta work, and I gotta strike a balance with family, my cats, the other things I do to make money. And it's all my wife. So there's all these things that in life that demand my attention, and sometimes I can't get to this one. Not always. I mean, you are a priority as well. Don't think you're not. But it takes time, and yeah, I really enjoy the conversations. Really enjoy the talks. I really love just rapping with people about comics, and it's always a blast. So we use rapping. That's a modern technical term, right? That's like some jargon that the kids are using nowadays. I'm in a chat chain regarding an upcoming wrestling show, and there's like a 21, 22-year-old wrestler in the chain. When the promoter who's in his 50s asked, who's available, and he said, bet. And then the promoter responded with, what does that mean? Is that yes? And then I responded with, you got to get down with the hip alpha lingo, man, the alpha generation lingo. And, we all had a good laugh about it, but bet is one that hasn't quite made it into my vernacular yet. It means yes, basically. You bet is what it's short for, I believe. If you need some education on what bet means, 6'7" is also a big one the kids are all saying, which means absolutely nothing, which is why it's funny. I feel like the interesting part of this generation has been nihilism. It seems like nihilism is kind of a big part of what they're doing, whether they identify it as that or understand that is nihilism. But there's a lot of it's just funny because it means nothing. There's no purpose. It has no meaning, and that's inherently where the humor comes from. And it's pretty. It's a tenet of nihilism. I don't know if there's humor involved, but the fact that nothing means anything, that's all kind of ridiculous, is certainly something that is, I wouldn't say taught. It's not like there's nihilism classes, but it's certainly part of that philosophical bend. So yeah, nihilism. It's the new thing. Get on the nihilism train. It can be exhausting according to the Big Lebowski, but check it out. Nihilism. The Fantastic Book Fair that I host here in town just went by. It was a really fun time. And speaking of philosophy, I picked up a book by Kierkegaard. So that's some upbeat reading that'll maybe keep my stoic sensibilities in place. I'd recently read a novel a friend gave me for my birthday called Therapy by David Lodge. And the main character in that kind of goes through a midlife crisis and really falls into the work of Kierkegaard. So it sort of made me think, well, maybe I should read some of this because I was kind of interested in what was mentioned in that book. So here we are. Andre Mayette, podcast host / philosopher scholar. Philosopher/scholar? Philosophy scholar. Yeah, let's go with that. Well, we do have a great conversation. Speaking of philosophy, we can learn a little bit about Robert Roach's, which it comes up in this conversation, I believe. If not, you can definitely glean it from some of the things we discuss. Robert's been a part of the comic industry for quite a while and has quite a story to tell. Has been involved in a lot of industries, storyboarding, working for Warner's, comics, lots of stuff, and we get into that talk as well. So an easy conversation, a fun conversation, one you're about to hear right now. So here it is, my talk with Robert Roach. Oh man, your background's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah,
A little bit of eye candy.
yeah, I'd say a little born a little bit. It's pretty sweet.
Thank you. I appreciate those kind words.
Oh, absolutely. Well, welcome to the show. Really cool to
Thank
have
you for
on.
the invitation. I have known about graphic histories for a while, but I've probably listened to a couple of podcasts a few years back. And then when I got the invite, I said, oh man, I got to re-up on this brother. And so I listened to some of my friends' conversations with you, and it was a delight. I really liked how you covered it all. Part of my college education took parts of journalism for the degree, and so and it also had radio TV as part of it. So I can tell when a good conversation is being shepherded.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. That means a lot. I don't have any of that training. Just a lifetime of
Doesn't matter.
conversations. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Many of the best just know it's about being a good conversationalist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about caring about what the other person has to say and allowing interactions to be organic. And some people can do it. Some people can't. You know, sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Hopefully today I can. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure. I often say sometimes when I do these like intros and stuff, or the outros, that it's an easy conversation. That's usually when I don't like. There's been a few times you have to really pull stuff out of people, and like it can be a little like it's fine, but it's not really as engaging as if you just naturally, organically comes out of the conversation. So
yeah, I think sometimes we're too guarded. Maybe. See, I think it's fair to say we both grew up at a time before the internet was anything that we could have envisioned. And I don't know what made me think about this, man, but I was considering how we would get gifts when we were kids, and you would get pre-stamped postcards, and it was expected of us to write our aunts, uncles, grandparents, whoever that gave us the gift, a thank you card, and put it in the mail and send it to them. And after a certain point in time, you're thinking, I don't want to write the same thing to everybody, but I have to write something similar. So you start to think, how can I say this? And how can I make it personal and all that kind of stuff? And it's great practice just for dealing with people. I mean, and you don't need that now. AI can help you with some of your response, and and I'm not poo-pooing that. Christmas card time.
Yeah.
Let's go. So I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying that there was a certain degree of training that occurred because of it that I think gives us an advantage over folks who were born, I'd say, since 95, because they were children as the internet was developing, and it's what they have known all their lives. Yeah.
I wonder how, like, because I remember in school, like, letter writing was something that we were taught. Like, you put the address here, you put your name there. You got the return address over there.
Here,
oh yeah, the very specific spots. None of that I think matters anymore. It's
what
wild.
I bet if you asked the average middle school student right now, what is the body of a letter? They probably couldn't tell you.
No. When I watched like friends of mine whose kids are in school and they're doing because they have like a different math is taught differently than it used to be now.
Yeah,
And I remember seeing what they do, and I'm like, oh my
I'd
God,
still be
like
bad. It
yeah,
wouldn't matter if the
yeah.
math. I still be bad.
It's actually kind of how I used to do math in school because I thought it was easier that way, and I would end up having to backtrack to put the right answer, like in the way that the teacher wanted it to make sure I got the
Yeah,
points.
because
But
you have we always had to show methodology.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But they wanted a certain methodology, so if yours wasn't exactly that, you had to kind of cover it up by working it out. But no, it's even like recently I had to write a resume, which I hadn't had to do in years, and I remember looking at it
Mhm.
and thinking like what are they like? They're not even like we were taught that in school, but now they're so different. They got photos,
Yeah,
there's photos of you in it, and
yeah,
there's weird. It's all kind of like very succinct now instead of
very true.
even cover letters seem to have gone away a little bit, which was very much a big part of applying for jobs. So it's
My resume, man, I need to clean it up too. But it has a lot of links
mhm.
because it'll link to past commercials that I've worked on and stuff like that, so that a potential client can compare apples to apples and stuff. So yeah, I know what you mean. Let's say even 20 years ago, we weren't thinking about anything like that.
No, no, it's wild. And like the concept of even like letters in general, paper in general, like that's all really going away. Like there famously here in Canada, there was a postal strike. There's been a few of them over the last few
Okay.
years, but as the because our that's federally regulated, the post office is it's a
Mhm.
service, and there's a lot of like political arguing about like how much money it
Yeah.
costs,
Mhm. Is
versus
it
what.
worth it?
Yeah, I mean, people are like, well, does it has this much loss, and it's like, well, it's a service, like it's a government funded service. It's not
Yes.
supposed to make a profit. It's supposed to help people. That's why we pay taxes
Yeah.
for it. Like the police force doesn't pay out anything. We don't
Thank
make
you.
money off of them, like,
No, we should
uh,
not make money off
no,
of them.
exactly.
Yeah, if we do, Lord, we're doing something wrong.
Well,
Yeah.
I know when you're in the States, you guys have privatized prisons, and there's some other things that are different than what we have
Oh,
here, where people do profit off that. But
yes.
generally we keep it. It seems to be still in a certain method that prevents that, but you never know. Like big business has
Hey,
a way of getting
uh,
into everything.
closer to you. Hey, closer to you than me right now.
Mm.
Pennsylvania, a few years back, that judge was convicted, and it was this is PG-13, right? I have
Oh
to.
no, no, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
That well, then I'll keep that
yeah.
in mind as I go forward. But I already edited myself.
All right, no
Um,
worries.
that son of a bitch was getting pay for play for the number of juvenile juvenile prisoners
Oh
that
Jesus!
he sent to a for-profit juvenile prison.
So they're just paying him for each person he sent there.
And
Brutal.
and so how many of these kids who deserved leniency or a second chance got sent somewhere that they should not have been, with
Wow.
some real on their way to becoming criminal guys, because he was getting 5,000 per head that he sent there.
Jesus
And
Christ.
it was like he got like, if I'm remembering, he got like probation or something like that.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
no, okay,
No.
we know he's 50 something, 60 something. Put him in the same prison
Yeah,
with those boys.
yeah,
Those boys are gonna jack him up,
yeah. Deservedly so. That's
deservedly
yeah.
so.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah, so this post thing but like, they weren't delivering mail for months and it wasn't that big of a loss. Like to me, I'm very like cuz you live in an area that's decent. There's a lot of places here. If you live in more rural areas that are pretty far away where only the post office goes there, then
Yeah,
obviously those people suffered and those are the people that really had issues. But it's like the amount of paper you write anymore. You don't send letters hardly anymore. You don't even get checks really anymore. It's all e-transfers now. Like you just it's
yeah.
going away. But no, that's wild, man. Oof. That's monstrous. Like I like there's a part of me that wants to say we don't get to get into a big debate about humanity and what it can achieve and what it can't. But when you hear about something so inhuman and someone does something like that, you're like, how can
Hmm.
you look at yourself in the mirror, your family. I get money. I get everyone wants money, but
Yeah.
at the cost of other people's lives, and putting people on paths. A lot of those kids, you know, probably would have just breezed through and been fine. But now they're definitely in a spot where it's going to be
Oh,
conducive to
they're
them
messed up.
continuing a life of crime. Like,
And it's on their records.
yeah,
You know, like how easy is it to get expunged? Not very easy.
no,
They I think I saw something recently on the news, and it was the chances of having an expungement if you do it yourself rather than get a lawyer. And I think getting it expunged with a lawyer was over 70% successful, and doing it yourself was less than 20% successful.
Jesus.
But that means you have to be able to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to. I don't need an expungement, by the way. I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good.
okay, yeah,
But
no, yeah.
I've had a few friends that could have used that,
Mm.
and some friends who went way beyond it. They're let's work on reformation, fellas. You know, you're
Yeah,
still
yeah,
my boy, but you
yeah.
know, okay, but thousands and thousands of dollars just to try to say, okay, when somebody looks me up online or a potential employer or whatever, something I did when I was 15 isn't being held against me when I'm 32.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's just brutal. And the whole, I mean, I don't think I'm being too controversial to say that the whole system, there's a lot of mandatory minimum sentences and things like this that just, are just designed to just keep people in jail. And
Yeah.
restorative justice can go a long way. And I feel like it's something that, I don't know, the system isn't designed for it in a way, but it would be so much better if we found alternative methods instead of just cramming people in prisons. The amount of money it costs to put someone in a prison in Canada
Yeah.
is it's a lot. It's more than the average person,
Yeah.
costs the average person just to live out here.
Yes.
So
And
it's
it cost
insane.
us more than if we had tried to intervene when they were younger.
Oh yeah.
It's always way more. And I'm not a fool. I know that crime exists. I know that we need to have police in
Oh yeah,
society.
100%.
All of these things. I am not dismissing that at all. But let's do some of this stuff with some kind of sense.
Mm,
You know, that's all. A lot of us get stuck on one way to do something, and that's it. And we got to do it this way because this is the way we've always done it, and it gets done this way.
mhm.
Well, how about if we do it this way? And I think this way costs less, and it gets the results better. No, no, no. Got to do it this way.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lot of terrible things that have been done in history because they've always been done that way. So,
I'll
perhaps a
stop you when
fresh
you
eye might
lie.
help. Yeah.
Stop you when you lie, man.
Well, you
That
are.
that 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 is an invitation to continue, by the
Oh
way.
yeah. No, I got that. Thank you. Um, but yes, you're calling in from LA, right? Los Angeles.
Yes,
Was that home for you, or where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Indiana.
Oh,
It's a
really?
far away. It's a far away place that nobody knows about.
Okay.
Almost mythical.
The Narnia, if you will, of the United States.
Yes, the Narnia of the nation. Okay, that's a good way to
I
put
like that. Yeah,
it.
that's
Yes,
nice. What was growing up in Indiana like?
it was good.
Yeah.
I really think like it wasn't problem free,
Hmm.
but it was a great place to grow up. I had a totally different kind of podcast recently interview me. Well, maybe I don't. There's no guarantee it was a totally different kind of podcast, but
Hmm.
it was a friend of mine that I've known since high school, and he started to interview folks uh, from our hometown,
Okay.
and it was nice to be reminded uh, how insular it was in a good way.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I don't think insular's a bad term. Not always.
no,
It can have it can
yeah,
protect you from some horrible stuff on the
a
outside too, right?
lot of
So
horror protected from
yeah.
a lot of horrible stuff, man. I mean, um, when I was back then, it was junior high school. Like back when we're junior high school age, we would ride our bikes all over town. I grew up in a town called Marion, Indiana,
Okay.
and it's fallen on hard times now, but it was a great time to grow up then. It was just farms and factories. We thought it was a real city. Like 30 at that time, just around 35,000 people,
Mhm.
and it was an RCA factory. St. Regis was a paper maker. My dad worked at Fisher Body, which was a GM factory.
Oh, yeah.
Foster Forbes did fiberglass. So there were a lot of industrial factories in the city. And there are four mid-sized cities that are the same size as Marion, and they're all within about 30 to 40 miles of each other within. So, and let's see, Marion, Muncie, Anderson, and Kokomo. So, and you may have heard those. Muncie is the place in the United States where they did the Middletown, USA studies. Like
Oh,
what
yeah.
is the most average city in America in terms of size, in terms of ethnic makeup, the economy, all those types of things. And Muncie, way back in the 1900s, was chosen as that city. And they've had follow-ups since then. And so of those four cities, Muncie is the largest. And it has what would probably the fifth largest school in Indiana. Ball State University is in Muncie. So it's very representative of the average U.S. city.
Mhm.
And so that's the kind of place that I grew up. At that time, Indiana was not, in terms of its politics, was not ruby red. It was
Mhm.
much more purple. I remember my dad's friend was a state senator, and he ran for governor,
Oh.
and he lost, and I think it was like 51% to 49%.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
If I say to you Indiana and politics right now, there's no way you would figure it's like that.
No, well.
But it was then. And I think that allowed for uh, a much more robust experience because people actually traded ideas
Mm.
and what we talked about different ways to do things.
Mhm.
So it was a great place to grow up. My best friends from when I was 4 or 5 years old remain my best friends. I've
Oh, that's
acquired a
awesome.
lot of other friends. I've acquired friends on from all parts of the world. But I grew up with people who are still close to me and who have done wonderful things with their lives. And unfortunately, about all of us had to leave Marion to do it. But we
Uh,
still gather back there. We still think of it fondly. It's not, there's some people who leave where they grew up and they're like, I'm never going back there again. I hate that place. No, it was very, very cool place to go. And it's a wonderful place to visit for a limited amount of time. Um, because I just can't do things there.
yeah.
I'm talking about in terms of infrastructure and
Yeah, yeah,
such.
yeah. Totally.
I couldn't work as an illustrator in Marion, Indiana right now. I don't care if there is an internet. There's certain degrees of networking that are just not available to
Mhm.
you. And I mean, it's probably not even available to me if I'm in Indianapolis. And
Mhm.
I could spend a lot of time. I went to school in Indianapolis. I lived in Indianapolis. It's a great town. I think it's got a lot to offer people,
Mhm.
but I can't. Great example. I just got an invitation from a good friend. He is a composer and a musician for films, and I've known Dion for over a decade. Hit me with an invite to a premiere to an indie film that he just did the music for. And what's great, he was just nominated for uh, a it was not an Oscar. It was a Grammy related to music, and he's been working at it so hard, and he's finally in a great position to do the things that he's always dreamed of. And he said, "Hey, man, we're having the premiere. Love for you to come. I'd like to set a couple of tickets aside for you. It's on the 16th. Can you be there?" If I'm in Indianapolis, I can't do this.
Hmm. Yeah.
If I'm in Marion, I sure as hell can't do it.
Yeah.
So there's just a degree, like when I've been asked by uh, folks in my hometown or my home state, it's so expensive to live in Los Angeles. Like, why do you live there? I said, well, you pay for the access.
Hmm.
That's what you're doing. That you have to think about what it is. If somebody says, "Hey, we're thinking about you to do," we're putting together an indie comic, and we would like to consider you for it. We'd like to sit down and hash it out on over lunch. Are you available on Tuesday? Well, you've got to be in a place where you can say, yeah,
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Like Zoom is great. It's a wonderful tool, but it also has limitations.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely. You got to go like what is it like genius is, I can't remember the quote is Edison or somewhere. Genius is like 1% actually like genius and the rest is just the work, putting
yep,
work in, the
yep,
determination
putting
essentially.
work in, and you
And
have to
being in the
work.
right place, right? Yeah.
Yep, right place. When I talked, I also teach, and I have told students, you have to be in the right place. You have to be there at the right time, and you have to have something marketable that a person wants to invest in.
Hmm.
You got to have these three. You got to have these things because um, great example of being stupid, of being a big dummy.
Perfect.
It was right after I had moved back to I was living in Japan, and I decided, okay, well, it's about time to go back to the States. I got to do this because I got to try to put myself in a situation where I can learn what I don't know artistically and possibly find work. And so, I came back, but while I'm here, I still got to eat. And it was at a time when before Uber and Lyft and such, so there were companies that they had vans, and it was drive share, but you would pick up people on a schedule, go to their house, pick them up, take them to airport, train station, seaports and such. And I got a job for them because I thought, I got to know LA. So this is going to really force me to learn this place. And it
Yeah.
was, I highly recommend somebody do that if you move somewhere new.
Yeah.
Get a job that pays you to drive around so that you can figure out where you are and the rhythms of traffic
Hmm.
and best way to go right here or there, because GPS ain't always right.
No. But
So
especially in a condensed place like LA, it'd
no,
be a lot to
oh
learn.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm driving these guys from the airport, and it's like my second day on the job. And like I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm here trying to be an artist, but I need to concentrate on my job. Like, let
Hmm.
me do this first, and all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of weird to have portfolio sitting with you next, because we were driving 12-person vans, stuff like that.
Mm.
And so, I got this in his van or whatever. And I did everything I could to talk myself out of having these things available for me. And I did. I said, no, no, I'm not going to do that. Second day I'm driving. I have to drive from uh, LAX out to like a place called Westlake Village or Thousand Oaks area, which is like we're going to be in the van for 40 minutes to an hour, depending on the traffic. And we're going on the worst freeways in LA. And we're talking back and forth, and I hear them talking, and it turns out that they're editors for a comic book company. And I'm like, yeah, I want to be, like comic book illustrator and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, really? You got some samples? And I'm like, uh,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
this would never happen to me, is what I already told
Yeah.
myself. And that very thing happened.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I tell my students, take your stuff at all times. Take
Yeah.
your stuff. Take some weight so that you can introduce what you do to somebody. And
Yeah.
like, it was,
Be prepared.
years later, I did get some fill-in work there, like working inside the company and stuff, doing background art, and it was with Malibu.
Oh, yes.
Back
Yeah.
when it was back when it existed. And so for a brief time, I was there. My timing was bad then, because even though I was working there and made some really cool friends, and still friends with a bunch of them now, and enjoyed my time there, it was just as Marvel was buying it.
Yeah.
And Marvel was only buying Malibu at that time to get the digital coloring department, because they wanted to expand what they were doing in Marvel. And he said, we can either do this from scratch or we can buy somebody else. And when they bought Malibu, like one of my friends, still a good friend, Larry Welch, was one of the senior art editors there, and they just everybody. But that digital coloring department, that stayed. And
those guys did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, timing. If I had been thinking about this beforehand, I could have been there for years. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, maybe there's something to be said about the natural progression of how things should occur, but you learned a lesson, right? And then you
Yes, I did.
moved on from there. Well, was that like growing up in Marion? Was like, were comics always something? Like, did you discover those? Were those something you loved from a young age?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What were the first ones?
The first ones, and I read a lot of comics when I was a kid, but I didn't think about them. It's like, oh, this is fun, but it was just entertainment. And summertime, you're reading with your friends. And another thing we used to do is if we had like track meets or football games, basketball games, you carry them on the bus with you, and everybody's reading the comics and stuff. So that was definitely true. But the thing that made me think, whoa, hold up, this is kind of cool. My brother bought it and I didn't see it, and I ran across it later. It was a Batman story that featured the Manhunter.
Oh, yeah.
Archie Goodwin and Walt Simonson. And Walt Simonson is Walt Simonson.
Oh yeah, no. Absolutely.
If it's wild, because my artwork does not. I mean, like, you can look at him, you can look at him. It doesn't look like Walt Simonson. But if I could draw like anybody, I'd love to draw like Walt Simonson. But you just can't. Walt Simonson is singular.
Yeah. So
And
it'd be Sal Buscema for me, but my art looks nothing like him. But I loved him so much, his style, the craziest punches. Or Mark Bagley, those are my two, like, that brought me into comics. But
you talk about some serious comic book art. But I saw this thing called Gotoramaron, and
I remember that.
It was the end of that whole Manhunter series that Goodwin and and Simonson had won all those awards for.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking in there and see Walt Simonson is that son of a bitch, because he put his name in the artwork, and for the longest I could not figure out who this dude is. And I finally looked around and it's oh, there's his name. It's written up in the. I didn't know who this artist was, but I looked at that dynamism and like the mix of the fantastic with like the mundane, so that it had even a better trajectory for the story being told. And I was like, do people get paid to do this? This would be
that's an illuminating moment as a child, is when you're like, oh, what? This is a job? I can make money doing this? Yeah.
That was it. It was Walt Simonson is all his fault. And I was so blessed to meet him years and years later. In the early 2000s, I was working at Warner Brothers in their management trainee program. I've done a lot of stuff in the entertainment industry, and
I like to. We'll get to that. I'm excited to learn about all that. Yeah, no.
But I thought, okay, I've been outside the castle walls doing stuff. Let me see how stuff is done inside the castle. And I was fortunate that they accepted me, and I was working in one executive VP's office, and I was friends with the guys next door. And the trainee from their office came over and he said, hey, man, you know that we're working on Superman. And it was at the time when they were doing the Death of Superman idea. It was before they did Superman Returns.
I actually just listened to a podcast I'm a huge fan of, where they talk about scripts that weren't made. And they did a whole series on all of those Superman scripts. So like I'm very keenly aware of all of them now because of how many, like J.J. Abrams was the closest, I think, to having his one made, Flyby.
Yes.
And from what they said, that was the best one. But there were a lot of versions that kept changing because the rewrites and rewrites and rewrites. But even some of that stuff made it into the new one, oddly enough. So yeah, cool.
Exactly. Man, making film is like sausage. It tastes great, but you don't want to watch it happen.
Yeah, I'm a massive movie person, so I'm very interested in all that stuff, man.
So he says, hey, man, we're working on it. I'm like, yeah. And he says, well, the guys helping us are a couple of comic book illustrators, and you may know them. And I say, well, really, who? He said, well, one is Steve Scroce. And I'm like, ooh. He said, and Walt Simonson. I said, whoa, Simonson is helping you guys work on that? And he said, yeah, and they're both here. And I'm like, huh? He said, would you like to meet them? I'm like, come on. And I had learned my lesson, and I had artwork with me. Nice. And so, we go down there, and of course, I'm being a fanboy, and I'm trying not to be a fanboy. But he was really, really nice, and he looked at my stuff, and he said, he flipped through, and then he started flipping through stuff, and he said, usually, right now, I'd give you advice. And he said, you don't need advice. You need a job. I was like, okay, well, Simonson said that to me. I can live with that. I can live with that. And Scroach was such a nice guy, too. And he's just so talented.
Yeah.
And they both were. And they, you love it when you meet people you admire, and they are worthy of your admiration. And they both were. And
it's awesome when that happens. I told the story before in here, but I met Sergio Aragonés and Stan Sakai one time.
I met him, yes.
Yeah, at a Comic-Con, and I just made this little indie comic I had, and I just went to their table in Montreal, and I gave them each a copy, and he said, come back tomorrow. And so I did, and they'd read it that night, and they gave me all these tips, and it was way more than I would have had to do, and it was just very touching that they went.
You can't afford that.
No,
you can't afford that kind of editorial.
I know, yeah.
I try to tell people, especially say again, students and or anybody else who's worth kicking it with, I say, hey, go to conventions, go to Artist Alley, talk to these people,
Yeah.
talk to them like you got some kind of sense.
Yep.
Don't step up.
And even as a comic fan, though, like, because I was blown away with how many amazing comic book artists and writers and like titans of the industry to me, because that were just sitting there with no line. You just walk, you
Nobody
can walk
around
up.
them.
They did all right over the span of the weekend, but it wasn't like they weren't like the guy from Buffy that everybody wanted to go see. So the idea that they're just like, you're sitting there. Like I talked to Ty Templeton, I talked to Tom Fowler, I talked to like all kinds of amazing people that were just there, just sitting
there.
around. Yeah, and it blew me away. It was insane.
When again, you pay for access being in a place like LA.
Yes.
And so conventions come, and I was at a local convention, and I had met Bernie Wrightson a couple of times prior to this.
My goodness, yes.
And so, I met him and I said, hey, I love your stuff, man. You just blow me away. Like always just the nicest, self-deprecating kind of dude, It's just like, no, thank you. But no, I'm like, no, you would, if you could step outside yourself and be over here with us, we'd be pointing at you saying that's as MF and Bernie Wrightson right there. You see who he is? That's Bernie Wrightson. So no, man, you deserve the accolades you received. And so all cool. And I'm at a con in the Artist Alley. There are like about 4 or 5 people between him and me at his table. And I'm thinking to myself, he's busy, he handling his business. Don't interrupt an artist when they have fans and stuff there, because they got to pay for their booth too.
Yep.
So always be respectful to that. Tip out there for all you folks who are up and coming. Just be respectful to that. And so I'm away from it, and I'm like, I don't want to mess with the dude. I don't want to be all up in his grill and stuff. And so at that moment, the people evaporated, and he's looking directly at me. And I'm like, okay, if you walk away now, you're rude. So I stepped to the table, and as I stepped to the table, he extends his hand and he says, haven't we met before? My day was made. So Bernie Wrightson remembers my face, and like, yes, sir, we met. I shared some of my artwork with you, and I told him about, I reminded him about the Roach and stuff. I told him about it, and he's like, oh, yes. I remember that. That was really well done. I'm like, okay, just somebody shoot me and take me to heaven now. It's like, these guys are so, and gals, not dissonant, are so nice, and over 90% of them are cool people. If you step to them correctly, show them what you got, they'll give you feedback that you can't pay for. That makes the cost of admission way worthy. So just know how to. That's how, when I first met Dwayne McDuffie, that's one of the ways we did. And I fast forward years later, we were really good friends.
Yeah.
When he, love you, Charlotte. When he passed, his wife Charlotte, told me stuff that he said about me that I had no clue about. But he said, she said, he really held you in high regard, Robert. You're one of his favorite people to talk to. I was like,
yeah, it's that standard male method of we don't share our feelings, that we've been taught not to discuss those things on a more saccharine level, I guess.
And he's busy.
Yeah, well, that too.
He's kind of busy, He's kind of.
I've never met I don't think I've met I don't want to make generalizations, which is pretty easy to do in an industry like this, but I'd say most comic book artists are the sweetest, nicest people, because I think they all still remember when they were trying to get there,
I
So it's
think you're right.
not just a memory.
I think
I
you're
feel
right.
like I've met more guys that seem prickly that were writers than artists. And maybe that's
Oh,
because writers are it's a more, I don't know. I guess both fields are pretty combative. Like you're kind of fighting for a
yes, they
spot.
are
So it's not
very
like one is
competitive.
worse than the other, but I don't know. I don't know. And I wouldn't
Maybe
call anyone mean, like, or no one was a real dick, but
no
there's some that were a little less,
standoffish.
yeah,
Is
exactly,
that
a
a
little less
nice way to
friendly.
do that?
Almost like you resent me for being a fan here to get something. So you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like it's like all right, well, I don't want to name anybody, but there's a couple people you're like, all right, well, you're obviously
Yeah.
think you're God's gift to writing, and I'm
Yes.
bothering you by here at your table getting to sign something. So
I've met asshole illustrators. Don't get me wrong. I've
oh,
met the assholes, but they are the decided minority.
yeah, fewer and far
Um,
between.
yeah, and I tell you, like, if you run across an asshole, dust it off and go to the next table,
Yeah,
because the
yeah.
next table is going to be good people, and the next four people you run into are going to be cool people,
Oh yeah,
because that one asshole is quite the minority.
yes, I agree.
So just keep it going. And I feel like, since we are fortunate to like to have some opportunities, do some things that have had at least a degree of notoriety,
Hmm.
and um, we have an opportunity to extend a hand, we should do so, because somebody did it for us,
Hmm.
and uh, we should lay that foundation to continue it going forward.
Hmm.
Um, when I was a precocious kid, I was a fan of Mike Grell's Warlord,
Oh yes,
and
classic.
again, way before the internet. Uh, I forget what it was. There was some kind of maybe it was came out of DC, because he was doing a lot of DC stuff then, or an indie fanzine or something like that. And it said in passing the area of Wisconsin he was from.
Hmm.
And somehow, I don't know, I think maybe I went to the library or whatever, and I figured out that, in all likelihood, his phone number was one of two phone numbers that I had discovered based on his name,
Hmm.
the description in the article, and all that kind of stuff. And I said, well, I got to fit it if he has a phone, because
Yeah,
like you never know. Sometimes people don't have phones,
yeah.
but if he has a phone, it's one of these two numbers.
Two Grells in the area.
Yes, two
Yeah.
Grells in that area, based on what was described. Like they talked about a river that ran
Hmm.
through his place, and like, okay, it's got to be one of these two if he has a phone number. I called. It was him. He was nice. Um, and I was smart enough not to bug him incessantly, because as
Yeah.
a kid, you'd want to, oh, man, I can call
Yeah.
him
I call
tomorrow.
him anytime. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I had enough sense not to do that. And um, like, say, maybe 2 years later, I think I wrote him or whatever, because since I had his phone number, now I could reverse engineer it and get the address. Back then, I could
Hmm.
find the book, and at least there's
You're
an address in
quite
there.
the kid detective.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't good in math, but I could do this stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, that's probably much more valuable.
Well,
Yeah.
better for me.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
like, I wrote him, and this was not his fault. Not his
Hmm.
fault. Um, like you say, well, like, Robert, you should start to, like, I can't get you a job. Um, but the people who can get you a job, like, they're in New York, and you should start getting in touch with them, so you have a relationship and that kind of stuff. And long story to short, like, I'm a kid in Indiana. I don't know anything. I sent them some original work and a character that I had created and stuff, and never heard back. But 6 months after I had sent the stuff in, I'm flipping through
Your
a
character is there?
JLA comic book, and my character is a background character in there. And
Oh
then in the
no.
letters, almost the same design of his outfit, same color scheme, same long, strong strawberry blonde hair, came in on a spaceship and all this kind of stuff. And then in the letters page, I'm not going to say the gentleman's name. I'll give you enough information to figure it out. But
Mhm.
he was the art director at DC at the time, and they thanked him for his invaluable help at coming up with that character.
Oh,
And I had sent the artwork to him because that's what it was suggested that I should do, and
yeah.
it was the proper thing to do. So that didn't leave me feeling good, but I did not blame Mike for that.
No, that's not his fault.
Okay.
No. I remember I read
And
somewhere it's like the guy that like the black suit Spider-Man was invented by someone that sent in like a design to the letter pages or something. And
I
like the
would
thing
not
that
be
became
surprised.
Venom was all from that. And yeah, it was just some guy. I don't think I think if you can go look up the story and figure it all out,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
And there's nothing you can do. I remember I was in tears. My brother remembers this story. If he catches the podcast, maybe he can verify. Yeah, I was there. That happened. And I was in tears. I said, I can't believe this happened. What the heck? And like my mom was like, well, you call and ask. And I'm like, and I'm young. I don't know. So I called DC Comics, and somehow, I don't know how I got transferred. I ended up talking to Jeanette Kahn when she was the publisher. And, and I was like, this happened. She said, well, she was being honest. She said, I only have your word for that it
yeah.
happened that way. And I worked with this gentleman all the time. So, and I said, but, I didn't ask for any money, but, you could have at least said it came from me. I mean, this is not cool. She's like, and I think she realized that I was being genuine.
Yeah.
And, she like as nicely as she could, she said, well, I ain't nothing I can do for you, man. And she was right. There was nothing she could do about it. I couldn't copyright it. I didn't copyright it.
hmm
So, that's kind of the downside of stuff. I guess I can take it saying, hey, at least they published my stuff when I was a teenager.
That's right. I was going to
But,
say you got a valuable lesson. You got jaded about the comic industry long
yeah,
before you got into it.
yeah. So,
Wow, it's brutal.
so Mike and I stayed in touch, like sporadically every 2 years or so. When I was in college, I could contact him a couple of times. When I was in Japan, I sent him a postcard.
Yes, very nice.
and so fast forward to when I was living in San Francisco, and this is just about how cool people are if you let them be.
hmm
And it was right after I don't know what he had done. It was something big. It was after John Sable, and I know it was after Longbow Hunters and stuff. So
Wow.
there was a time in the early '90s when he was doing everything, and I think they turned Sable into a TV show and stuff like that. So he was doing a lot.
There's a
And
TV show of Sable? I didn't realize that.
I think there was
How did I miss that? All
it
right.
was like they only did like about 3 or 4 episodes or something like
Oh,
that.
wow. Okay.
And
You are
so
right. You are right. Yes.
yeah,
Nin-
so
1987 to 88.
there you go.
Rene
So
Russo
after
was in
that,
it. All right.
who was in it?
Rene
Who's the star?
Russo.
Oh, okay, cool.
Louis Van Bergen was John Sable, but I don't
Was
recognize
John
it.
Sable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So
sorry. Continue.
no, brother, it's your show. Cut me
Yeah.
off anytime. So, so I went to a convention outside of San Fran, and like I had stuff in the car, but I didn't bring it in with me. And like the line to see him was around the block when we were in there first. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go to whatever. And then he had a symposium after that, and after the symposium, he went back to his table and he was signing autographs again. And and he had the like limited 5 and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't have anything for him to sign. So by this time, the line is short. So I step in the line, and like the guy goes in front of me, and like sign stuff, sign stuff, and I get to the table, and he's looking for the books he should be signing, and he said, "You don't have anything for me to sign?" I said, "No, no, no. I just wanted to talk with you." And he said, "Oh, if you wanted to talk with me, you didn't have to wait 5 minutes."
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, I've waited way longer than 5 minutes to talk with you." And he looks at me kind of peculiar, like, "Who the, you a stalker or something? Who is you?"
I
And I'm
know this
like,
is your address and this is your phone number. Yeah.
yeah. I didn't go into
Yeah, no, no, yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I say, "Well, I'm thinking, I'm have to introduce myself. Let's do it again, whatever." I said, "Well, like I first met you when I was a kid. I called you and talked with you on your phone." And he's like, "Well, who are you?" I said, "Well, and then over the years I stayed in touch." And I said, "No, what's your name?" I'm thinking, okay, hi, I'm Robert Roach. And he stands up and grabs my hand and says, "Robert Roach, man, I'm so glad to finally meet you."
Aw.
Otis. It's like, whoa. They said, "Man, you're the only person who ever called me like that." And thank you for staying in touch. I got your postcard when you were in Japan. I was like, whoa, this dude was
Genuinely
genuinely
nice. Aw.
cool like this. He came around the table and hugged me and stuff. And like he goes forward and he's selling, like he's doing artwork on commission and stuff like that. And the guy wants to buy one of his paintings. And the guy doesn't know if he really wants to come up with all the money, but he really likes the painting. And Mike says to him, like it's 50% deposit, it's non-refundable, and this is that and that and this. And so you can do that, and I'll save it for you in case you want to come back with it. But that's like a 30-day period. And the guy's like, okay, I can do that. And Mike says, "Okay, now here's my card so you can get in touch with me and stuff like that." And guy's like, "Cool." I'm like, "Man, hey, you don't shoot, you don't score." I said,
Yeah.
"Excuse me, Mike, could I get your business card?" He said, "Oh, sure, Robert, sure, Robert." And he hands me a business card. Now somebody in back saw that happen, and the guy said, "Hey, I want a business card." And the dude's like, "Hey." And Mike was like, "Hey. Now this guy over here, we're doing business."
Hmm.
So I gave him my business card. Now Robert here, he's been a friend for years.
Hmm.
So I gave him. I'm like, "Hey, I've been a
Yeah,
friend for
yeah, yeah. I've
years.
heard for years.
I've been a fan for years."
Close
So I'm
personal friend
saying,
of Mike
yeah,
Grell. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
big ups. I was lucky that I would encounter people like this that really helped me. A guy that helped me big time, Steve Lealoha, when I was living in San Fran. I mentioned Larry, and like Dwayne was so kind and so helpful. Like
Mm.
I think I've been blessed to run into people like that who uh,
Yeah.
have been kind enough to help me do better. And for that reason, I feel like I have a responsibility to share that too, like share that wealth.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the way it should be, right? That's what the people that have made it somewhere in the industry should do for the people that are trying to get in. Like that's
Yes.
how it should work.
Because
Um,
I've never had the attitude that um, my success has to come at your expense.
no,
I'm in
that's a lot of the world's
I,
problems come from that concept.
no,
So yeah, yeah.
I don't think that, like, yeah, a pie can be sliced so many ways, but I
Mhm.
also think that the pie can also expand so that all of us
Yeah,
can still get a slice.
yeah.
And um, if one of the worst things I ever heard, like at Otis, it was while we were still meeting strictly on campus. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I do teach part time at Otis College of Art
Mhm.
and Design. So that when I say Otis, I'm not talking about somebody who's a alcoholic, and I'm
Yeah,
not talking about an elevator. I'm talking
yeah. Or
about
Lex Luthor's henchman. We're covered.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
yes,
Right.
yes. No Ned Beatty in this one.
Yeah. All right. Good.
So we're meeting on campus, and I have a number of students around me, and I was giving explanations about something and how one of them could do something that would be helpful to them with their art. and another student was there, and I could see by his face he was really watching and listening intently. And I was like, okay, there's a story behind this, so just keep yourself open to whatever happens. And and that student said, I can't believe that you did that for her. And I was like, what do you mean? Share information?
Hmm.
Of course, of course. You guys pay me to share information with you and such. He said, well, I asked this particular instructor about how I can do something better in terms of my digital artwork. And that instructor's response was, I can't tell you that. And the students asked that instructor, oh, you mean you aren't aware of how that should be done? And the instructor's response was, no, I know exactly how it should be done, but we might be competing for the same job
Oh,
sometime, and I just
Jesus.
want to give you an advantage. Like,
Wow. You're a destructor. That's what, oh, Jesus. You are not my students. You are potential enemies. Yeah, like that's
oh,
fantastic.
that story still pisses
Oh,
me off.
brutal,
It
brutal.
still pisses me off. Are you really that small-minded
Yeah.
that you have to push down on other people to hope that you can rise up? I'm like, man, no. I said, there can be 1,001 different factors as to why you were chosen over me for a job.
Yeah.
I remember one board job I went in for, and they's like, "Hey, Robert, you're the better one of the two." But the story is about a woman, and we thought we'd go with a female board artist because there might be subtleties to the female experience
Hmm.
that she will pick up on, and it will become a natural part of the story.
That makes
Now,
sense.
that may or may not be right.
Nope.
Maybe I still have a better sense about it,
Hmm.
but it made sense.
Yep.
And I'm not mad about that.
No. No. No, I've always had the mindset that if hurting someone else is the way I need to succeed, I'd rather not succeed in that and whatever I'm trying to do. That's fine.
Absolutely.
I can do
Absolutely.
something else. Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
so we're on the same wavelength
yeah,
about
yeah,
that
no.
in that regard.
Life's tough enough to have to pretend make enemies out of people for no reason, and especially
No
tangible
reason.
ones.
No reason
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Well, I feel like I have to ask what did you take in school when you went to college?
Oh, I used to tease my advisor. I told her that, hey, Ms. Johnson, she's still doing well. I got a BS in BS.
Oh,
Mine was
okay.
in public relations and
Ah, yes, you mentioned that. Okay.
corporate. It was a public and corporate communications, so it was
Ah,
PR. But I knew that I wanted to be an illustrator. But at that time, I'm a year and a few months older than my sister.
mhm.
She was going to go to college. I was going to go to college at the same time. Butler, I graduated from Butler University in
Mhm.
Indianapolis. Butler offered me a football scholarship that would pay for my schooling.
Oh,
I
okay.
really wanted to go to art school, but that was going to be X thousands of dollars a year out of family pocket. Butler was going to be for free, and that would free up money for her to go to University of Evansville because they don't give scholarships for violinists like they do for
Sports stars, yeah.
offensive guards.
Yeah.
So it just made sense. And I realized that it meant that I was going to have to learn how to draw on my own. So I I extol the comic the Comic Con and the comic industry process because it was do you remember Paul Smith um used to illustrate the X-Men way back in the day?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
when
Yep.
I was still in school, he was hitting his stride with that. And I've met Paul since, and he's a really nice guy. He and Larry were really good friends, and so Larry introduced me even further to him. But he tipped me off to Andrew Loomis's figure drawing for all it's worth. And
Oh,
so, uh, you know, I, again, Indiana, nobody had access to this information in the 80s or in the 90s. And by being able to pick these brains, I was able to get the information that could at least take me forward. Then when I moved, but I really wasn't progressing in Indianapolis. So, because there's a point in time when you're the best person around there, but you're not at a professional level.
Yeah,
So
big
what do
fish
you
in a
do?
small pond.
Yeah, like, do you stand around and get pats on the back, say, "Yeah, man, you should be growing, man. You gooder than these dudes." And you can either say that, "Yeah, I'm gooder than they are.
Yeah.
They should be you," or you could say, "There's a reason why I'm not being chosen."
Hmm.
And that's why I moved to San Francisco, because I knew, and I had a friend there who, uh, okay, keep this one short too. I was an exchange student in Japan for a year.
I was going to ask you how that happened. So
Yeah.
I saw somewhere online that it said you were fluent in Japanese. So I figured you
Yes,
said you
yes,
lived
yes,
there.
I am.
So wow.
The family I lived with, the Uchidas, were good friends with Mr. Maida, and he lived in San Francisco. And like, I met him. He would visit Japan a few times a year, and I would see him then. And then when I moved back to the States, I still visited him because he like said, "Hey, you want to come to San Francisco and kick it? Feel free." And then he said, "Hey, if you want to move out here, let me know. I'll try to help you get set up." And he did. Yes. Yoshio Maida. They call him Joe Maida. So big ups to him. I got there, and then I met guys like Steve Lealoha and a few others that were just up and comers
Hmm.
in the industry at that time. And I remember, again, I was a big fish in a small pond, and
Hmm.
I went to this convention
Now you're in the ocean.
to show. Yeah, I was in the ocean, bro. I was in the ocean. I was being buffeted by some currents you didn't know nothing about. And so I showed my work, like, and it was at a time when all the detectives were the rave, like The
Mhm.
Shadow was big and The Question was up and
Mhm.
coming and all that kind of stuff. And I did something in those lines, and guys flipped through my stuff. It was bad, Andre. Yeah, I gotta get it. It was bad. I thought it was good. It was bad, man. It was bad. And so they were kind to me,
Yeah, that's good.
much kinder than they
Kind
should
is
have
nice.
been.
Yeah, kind is good.
And you're like, okay, and they're flipping through it, like, and then they flip through some other stuff that's more stereotypical, and it's like, oh Lord, not some more of this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, man, you moved across the country for this. You I didn't burn any relationships, but I
Yeah.
burned bridges behind me. I said, I'm moving here and I got all my stuff here. Said, how the heck can I move back? I can't move back.
Oh.
These are the thoughts that are going through
Yeah.
my brain at
You're
this
already
moment.
you're already like it's over. I'm
Oh, I'm
going back.
like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
hell no. I got no shot. And so, and I had one portfolio that I had on next to me that I had not opened because it was older. And like the artist, I mean, one of them is really big in DC now, and the other guy is really big at Dark Horse now and stuff. So it was right when they were catching their strides, and like they were like, "Oh, well, what's that?" And I said, "Man, this is some older stuff. If you don't like the newer stuff, you're not going to like the older stuff." And I said, "No, no, no, no. Let us check it out." And I was like, okay. And it was a period piece set in like 13th, 14th century England. So it was castles, armor, and knights and stuff like that. And so they start to flip through it, and they look at me and said, "Oh, you really are trying to be an artist." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm trying to be an artist," because they saw I'm trying to do different genres
Yeah.
and different types of stories. And that says that, okay. And they started to break my stuff down. I mean, like, not in it was not cruel, but
Yes.
it was constructive.
Yeah,
But
instructional, yeah.
But it was like, man, your anatomy is bad. Do you want to know why your anatomy is bad? I said, yeah, see how you're being influenced here and this type of stuff. And I was like, okay. And they spent 20, 30 minutes just like taking all my stuff apart. I remember I went back to my apartment. Like I shared a townhouse with some guys, and I couldn't draw, man.
Hmm.
I went back. I thought, man, you ain't never gonna draw again. Wow, man. Do you see the gulf between where you are and where you gotta be to
Hmm.
become professional? Can't bridge it, man. You can't bridge it. And I'd sit there and I was depressed,
Yeah.
and like I just come home after work. I worked at a Japanese trading company,
Hmm.
and come home after work and just kick it there and just watch TV and just veg out. But like after 2 weeks, I caught myself starting to sketch during commercials, and I saw that I was implementing some of the things just unconsciously, starting to implement some of the suggestions that they made. And so I thought, okay, it's starting to come out.
Yeah.
Like, keep yourself humble,
Yeah.
keep yourself
Yeah.
hungry, keep yourself talking to these people. And I met Lealoha at that time, and he was kind. He shared with me his business card, and found out he only lived like 6 blocks away from where I lived in the Upper Mission.
Well,
Didn't bug him, kept drawing, came up with more samples, went to another convention 3 or 4 months later, showed my stuff. He happened to be there, and he's like, I remember you. You were the guy. I said, yes, 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 I was. He said, hey, you took that advice and you're applying it to your work. I said, yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I got more input after that. And so I could see that I was starting to develop. And like after about 9 months, that's when I went and ran into him. I said, hey, you just live right around the corner from me. He said, well, why didn't you contact me? I said, because I owe it to you to try to get better first.
hmm.
And he said, fine. Like I went by, I think he was living with Ms. Robbins at the time. God rest her.
Hmm.
And condolences to everybody who loved her. Um, and they were very, very kind to me. And when I see Steve, he still remembers me, and he's
Hmm.
just a kind, quiet guy. He says, how you doing, man? I said,
Yeah, that's
doing
awesome.
well. So, you know, this is the education. If you're not, now there are formal schools. I
Hmm.
mean, the Kubert School existed, but you got to move all the way to New Jersey.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? Well, the first thing you're going to do is decide that your shit stank like everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't think your shit don't stank. It do.
Hmm.
It do. And you say, okay, with that as a given, how do I humble myself to the process to try to get better so that I can do stuff, you know? Well, it starts by actually listening to what people have to say. I had a guy when I was in San Diego one year, and I know what it feels like to be on the other side of the table. So I try to be respectful to somebody who comes and shows their artwork, but I don't suffer fools
Hmm.
kindly.
Well, you shouldn't.
And this guy showing me his work, and I teach perspective at Otis.
Hmm.
So I know one or two things about perspective, period.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm looking at what this guy's presented to me, and I hope this makes sense. He had one illustration in which he had two eye levels. So he had, and if in terms of perspective, if you're using 1, 2, or 3 point perspective, you're going to have vanishing points on that eye level.
Yeah.
And so he had two eye levels in the same composition. So he had alternating vanishing points that were supposed to be related to the overall environment. And they weren't related to a similar axis or anything like that. And they weren't, it was just a mismatch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to be nice. I said, well, you got to clean up your perspective in here because the eye, what you're doing takes the eye everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is an establishing shot. So what are you trying to tell me about the location? He said, yeah. See, well, I'm trying to come up with a new way to tell a story. And I'm like, okay, but you're telling this new way, you're using this new way of storytelling to people who only know how to think about things a certain way. So how are you trying to, well, I need to pull people into this new world with me. I'm like, okay, I'm still going to try to be nice.
Yeah.
Well, are you trying to say with this establishing shot that like it's a schizophrenic moment and that's why like you're trying to make us feel what that character is like? It's like, no, it's just a regular location and stuff like that. And I'm like, I was like, okay, man.
What I'm telling you is I don't actually want to put in the work to be better is what I'm telling you is what it sounds like he's saying.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And so I'm like, this is not going to work. He said, well, you just don't understand all this stuff. And I said, okay, cool. Since I don't understand and you do, and I'm on this side of the table and you're on that side of the table, keep doing your thing, man.
Yeah.
And then I said, excuse me, come on over. And the guy was looking like, it's like, no, ignore him. Ignore him. Just like he's ignoring me, you ignore him. Yeah. And we just start and filtered away. Don't be like that.
No.
I mean,
especially if you ask somebody. Like you're asking someone to help you and then you're rejecting, what they bring you. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Especially when I'm telling you what you did. And then I'm telling you why it could have been better. I had to hear this a lot. I still hear it from time to time. And I'm not mad. I'm like, okay, yeah, that would be nice. If I went ahead and put the camera over here, ooh, that would be, that's more explosive. Let's do it like that. That's good input that's a blessing, man. That's not a curse.
Well, they say never stop learning, right? That's what keeps you engaged in life is learning. Always learn.
Somebody was talking to me about you're drawing this and and they said something about retirement. I said I'm never going to retire. I'll always be telling stories. I might get to the point where I can't draw anymore, maybe because my hand shakes too much or my eyes go bad or something like that. But always going to be telling stories. I think my mom noticed that from when I was a young kid. I mean, she saved some of the books I did when I was like 4 or 5 years old. My sister got them out of storage after she passed. And I realized, man, I have this ogre standing on, it was a cyclops on the side of a mountain, a volcano that's exploding. And he's got a big club and he's fighting a bunch of guys and stuff. I'm drawing this when I was 5 years old. So it really wouldn't be like, as a 5-year-old kid, I said, oh, gee, I project that in the future, I may be able to draw comic books. Therefore, I should probably start. It's just something that I liked from that age. And I appreciate my mom for nurturing that. My dad really gave me a good structure side to looking toward things and trying to be analytical about certain things. And my mom, in terms of her skills and her creative talents, really gifted me with that. So I appreciate both those elements of my being that came from my parents.
That's awesome. No, that's useful. That's really nice. Talking to people, right? Like like yourself, that respect and like sort of honor the journey that they've been on. It's really heartwarming to me because we all go through our things to get to where we are in life, but to your story to me really seems like someone that like you've been helped by so many people along the way. And you know, and a lot of people don't recognize that. You know, they're so wrapped up in themselves, they think, you know,
Yes.
it's my skill that got me here. And there is an element of that. If you didn't have the skill, you wouldn't get there.
Yes.
But there's
True.
so much involved with people that need to help, you know,
Yeah.
and that's
And
it's such a
appreciate that. Just
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then pass it on when the time comes.
Absolutely. I hope like more than Mad Bank. And you like, I want to be rich like everybody else, but I don't want to be
Yeah,
rich. I don't want to be rich just for me.
yeah,
I would like to be rich, yeah, to give Yumi and give me my best lifestyle that we can enjoy.
yeah,
That would be great. But then to share it with some people,
yeah.
to to bring others along, make it easier for somebody who's going on a rough path to smooth it out a little bit.
Mm,
That's why we should have the money. That's why we should have the bank, and that's why we should have the relationships.
yeah. That's
I
I
mean,
think
I know that there are people who did that for me, and one of the things that, oh man, there were moments when breaks could have occurred for me, but I'm not upset that they didn't. One of them um, was when right before Dwayne passed. Because we got along, and you know, like Charlotte told me after, it's like, you know, like you're one of the few people, if Dwayne saw your name in his caller ID, he'd answer the phone. I'm
mhm.
like, whoa, Dwayne McDuffie would answer my phone calls? It's like, whoa, I guess,
Mhm.
wow, that's that. Like, he lovely, lovely man. You
Yeah,
can't say
I've
enough
heard
good
nothing
stuff
but
about
good
Dwayne.
stuff about him.
Smartest guy in the room every time,
Hmm.
every time. But wanted to hear what you had to say,
Yeah.
you know, and wasn't full of himself. I mean, the dude he had postgraduate degrees at 18. He was in
Hmm.
college at 13, you know.
Yeah.
He was just a phenomenal brother. And he had, you know, like he had a party that was it was going to be a Christmas party, and unfortunately he had a family emergency and he had to cancel the party. And I didn't know until later that it was only going to be like about a dozen people, and he invited me and my wife to come and stuff. And it was all people and producers that he knew from the animation world.
Hmm.
So all those names that lead into uh, the jail unlimited
Mm. Static
and
Shock and yeah.
all, oh man, and he was just going to, he, for whatever reason, he was kind enough and thoughtful enough that he wanted to set a brother up, and
Hmm.
you know, like things just didn't happen.
Hmm.
But I look at his intentions, because to me intentions are as good as the deed.
Hmm.
And I look at those intentions and realize how kind a person he was trying to be to me. And I try to accept that in the spirit that he meant it, and uh, try to make sure that I can try to treat somebody similarly.
Yeah. Well, that's I like based on everything I've heard about him. Like that's kind of a legacy, you know, that he was such a kind, nice person that went above and beyond to help people. So I think we could
Yes,
all. I think anybody couldn't ask for a better one, right? To be known as
not
someone
at
that
all.
was no.
Just good
Um,
people.
well, where's the work? Like, what are you working on nowadays?
Most of my time is with my Patreon.
Mhm.
Been man 3 years on it.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's about a black Conan-like warrior, prehistory set. And
That's Menthu.
no, that's a character named Ithuriel.
Okay, Ethereum.
This
Yeah.
guy here is Menthu. If you
Okay.
see my thumb, here's my thumb.
Yep.
Here's my thumb.
I see you.
That guy back there, and then the Roach. You know,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
he's good, and really, and he won the Glyph Award. Yada
Yeah.
yada
Yeah.
yada. So whatever, just screw him, screw you.
Old news. Yeah.
Yes. But Ithuriel is something that I came up with a long time ago, and then about 10 years ago, I was writing with my friend Hannibal Taboo to BCAF, Black and Latino Comic Artist Festival. It was up in San Francisco. And as we're writing, Hannibal just out of the booth says, you really have to develop Ithuriel. And I'm like, yeah, Hannibal, yeah, whatever. And he stays on me, and then all of a sudden different ideas about the character just start bubbling up. And so I've spent a long time doing research on him and stuff. And in terms of the Patreon, for almost 3 years, every other week, a new installment and new artwork with every installment. So I've been cranking that out, and some concept design for some indie films. Like one of them is Confederate Zombies. Hopefully he'll get his money together. Oh, it's funny, man. It is a funny.
That's awesome.
It's another one of those horror comedies that they had the money for it, man. Right before COVID, or right as COVID was kicking in, they got the money. They needed like about $3 million. The investor, because travel got messed up at COVID, he was in Portugal. The investor was in his 70s. He was in Portugal, supposed to come back to Canada. He was going to sign the stuff in Canada. It was going to fund the movie and a few others. Long story short, unfortunately, the gentleman passed away due to COVID.
Oh my God!
All the deal fell through. So it's just, and my friend who wrote Confederate Zombies, Bernard Moore. He's out of Maryland. It's a funny script. So, like I've been doing a lot, and then doing additional stuff with that, and did some animatics for an animated project that's being developed. Like the commercial stuff. I see. Like some more DreamWorks Mattel stuff.
Oh wow! Okay. That's cool.
But those are for commercials and stuff. So, but the commercials are like long form. So, it's like telling a story.
Yeah. I have a lot of respect for. Is that like storyboarding that you're working on with them?
Definitely storyboarding.
I have a lot of respect for
that's
storyboarders.
One of the things I teach at Otis. What do I teach? Storyboarding,
perspective.
Perspective. Yes, perspective. Yep. And I'm forgetting. Character design.
Oh, nice.
So in addition, teaching that stuff at Otis, and also at Brentwood Art Center, teaching some classes there. So all of that. But in terms of the art that occupies way much of my time, that is Ithuriel. I am, developed similar. You had a great interview with wonderful friend of mine, Ray Height.
Oh, I love Ray.
Ray's in my ass all the time. Rob, you got to turn it into a studio, man. You got so much stuff. You got to, and so next year, that's one of the things we're going to be doing. We're going to develop some more. I have a lot of Menthu stuff in the hopper. It just needs to be inked and colored. I mean, I have 3.5 issues penciled, and so. That's waiting to happen, and I have the half issue. I have to finish that off and bring in some other artists similar to what Ray's doing, and mentoring / paying, and because I believe in paying people, and make sure that they're taken care of. Develop that, and at the same time continue to do the Ithuriel stuff. And please check it. If you like, just let me know. I can give you a limited sneak peek to like everything.
Sure, I'd love to. I would love that. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Just hit me up with your e-address, and I'll send you that Google invitation, and you'll be able to see. It's like, damn, it's
From what I've
I
seen,
have
it's wonderful, beautiful stuff. So, what?
it's oh, thank you. I honestly appreciate that.
No, it's true. It's true, man. It's
What the volume one is pretty much his beginning, and it takes like a little bit over 5 years, and he goes around that known world. Like he's chased away because they're trying to kill him, but he's going back for some revenge, and he gets back there, and I got him to where he had his revenge and all that kind of stuff. And then it was like, and then the story said, okay, well, now what? I'm like, I don't want to now what? I just did a whole volume. It's laid out. A lot of the chapters have their the overview is written, and the individual chapters have their roughs executed, and there are 3 or 4 chapters that I've written and had the editor go through because I really need to find a literary agent to take it and make it through, because I'd love to turn it into a volumed picture book. 6 chapters per. I'm not putting my name and this person's name in the same sentence. I don't want anybody to get that twisted. There was a time when picture books had illustrations by people like Frank Frazetta in them.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. It ain't me in this.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to do something similar in that similar way, with the storyline being in the illustrations, and like full color sometimes, full page sometimes.
I was just talking
some of the
with
chapters being comics, that kind of stuff, and in an ideal world, 6 chapters per book, 6 books per volume.
Oh, cool.
And there would be 3 volumes. The second volume is really cool. I'm playing around with one story, and a lot of the locations in the first half of that volume are in Central and Southern Africa. Called Alkebulan by its original name in the storyline. And then it takes us to Central Asia for some stuff that happens. And then I can't say anything else about I have, in terms of stuff that's written, 90+% of volume 1 is written and understood. 50 to 60% of volume 2, and 30% of volume 3, at least so I know the direction in which the narrative will go. But I really would like to work with other people in Ithuriel. And so I'm trying to, like, say, there are a few chapters where I strictly gave an outline, and I'd love to be able to say, okay, here's what happens before, here's what happens after. The continuity has to be like this. Go. I can let other people play around with it.
That sounds like that sounds like a great exercise. That'd be really cool to have someone do that.
So I'm trying to keep myself, that's why I say 90%, because somebody might come up with a really cool character, and I'm like, ooh, I can't just have him in one chapter. Or, ooh, she's bad. Don't kill her. Let's bring her back here, So I want to leave myself with the latitude to do something like this. Ithuriel is one of those things, and is one of those hand of God things. I had been told repeatedly, Robert, you really need to learn how to draw with a brush, because I'd grown up drawing with a pen. And I don't know what happened. It was a Sunday afternoon. A friend of mine named Mario was at my apartment. It was with a past girlfriend. Like, we're there, and somebody said, "Get up and start to draw. Let's try to play around with this brush finally." And I went to my drawing table and I started to work with the brush. And what came from that was my initial illustration of Ithuriel with and it was good, man, Andre. It was choice. I was like, where did that come from? And the character in the illustration I drew was looking directly at the camera. He said, I got some more for you. And I was like, okay. And then years later, like I tried earlier iterations of them, but I realized, and I understand what Hannibal was saying at that moment. You're playing this character too short. There's a big story in there for him, and if you allow yourself to write it, it'll probably be good. And so I know that what we've written is good, but damn, it's so expansive. Oh Lord,
Awesome.
and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When the character grabs you by the back of the neck and says, "No, you taking me over here, and this is what's going to happen." And you're like, "No, man, I don't want to go over there." You say, "It's the right thing." See, I know it's the right thing, but it's a lot of work. And he just drags you there, and you're like, "Oh, shoot, now I'm here."
No, that's the magic when it flows out of you. It just, I
had the same thing happen. I was Sunday afternoon with Martha. I had to get up and leave where we were because I got all these ideas and I can't keep them in my head. I can't just, because I was trying to bookmark them in my brain. And then every time I bookmarked one, then two more things would come out. And I said, I got to sit down. I got to write this stuff. So I had to go in another room and get on my phone and write down these thoughts just to keep it going. And it was Ithuriel related. It was like, okay.
Oh, awesome. That sounds fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, please hit me with your e-address and I'll send you that.
Will do. Well, thank you so much, Rob, for being on the show. This is awesome.
Oh man, Dre, I appreciate just having conversation with you, man.
Oh, this was an easy one. So
no teeth. You didn't have to grab.
No, it was very easy. Thank you so much. You have yourself a great day.
Likewise, brother. You take excellent care.
You too. Bye-bye. There you have it, my conversation with Robert Roach. Fantastic conversation, great talk. It came easy and it was really, really fun. So thanks, Rob, if you're listening, for bringing me that, because, it's always nice. We go to these talks, you never know what to expect. If it's someone you haven't met before, you're like, well, who knows what kind of person they are. You only really talk through messaging to set up the talk. So once you get there and you realize, oh man, like, it's such a relief in the first few seconds. You're like, this guy's cool. And Rob was very cool. So thanks, Rob. Thanks you for tuning in. Tune in next week for another episode of the show. Don't have it recorded yet, so I'm not going to tell you who it is. If I do, I will. But I don't, so I won't. So take that. Tune in next week for another fun episode, though. In the meantime, my name is Andre. Stay safe. Have fun. Read some comics. And Christmas season's coming, so maybe get a little festive. This program is a proud part of the Swear to Pod Network.